What's up, everybody? It's Jeff exclamation point. And it is raining! Yay! Of course, just as soon as I get to the theater, it starts to rain. But it only is fitting because the show we are seeing tonight starts off at a funeral. So why not? Why not rain when the beginning of the show is like a rainy day? Gang, this season for the Orlando Broadway subscription series has been phenomenal. It started off with a bang with 6, and those girls like blew the roof off of the theater. Now, tonight's the last of the series, and I think they saved the best for last. Gang, we're seeing Beetlejuice. I'm so excited. I saw this show in New York and the Winter Garden right before the COVID shutdown. And I'll put a link to that video up a little corner there and in the description below. But I have heard amazing things of this cast in this traveling production. Let's get out of the rain and let's get in the theater. All right, we made it. We're in the Walt Disney Theater. The lobby is not as packed as I was expecting yet. The line for merch is already insane, and we're just gonna hop in that line. Hey, here's the merch. Let's see here. The hoodies, the shirts. Yeah, the logo shirt. There we go. You got the jacket. I got that tee already from New York. There we go, and let's see here. That's their price chart right there.
Here is a list of all of the items they had for sale, as well as the prices. Gang, nothing was cheap here. I bought a t-shirt in a reusable bag, and that cost me $50. The Dr. Phillips Center also does specialty cocktails with each of their shows. So here's the one for Beetlejuice, called the Sandworm. And now, let's go into the theater.
This is, hands down, one of the best entries into a show ever. This and Moulin Rouge. I mean, just look at this. For a traveling production, just look at this. This is just so... Oh. I love everything about this show. Theater's filling up. The show's gonna begin in like 5 minutes or so, and I'll see you at intermission. We have hit intermission, ran to the bathroom, and now we'll just chill for a minute before we head back in the theater, because of course the ambiance in the theater is just insane. But having seen this in New York, let me tell you, this show is just as good as the one in New York. There's a lot of differences, a lot of changes they had to do because of it's a traveling production. There's no like trap doors and lifts and all that stuff in the stage. And what they did is just as good, if not better, than the New York production. The audience is going completely insane over this show. It is such a good time. I cannot wait for Act 2, because one of my favorite songs of the whole show is in Act 2. And the girl playing Lydia is just nailing it. Well, I will say the whole cast is nailing it. And I kept thinking, just to be an actor in this show, because everything is so character-driven, and you get to live in that world of that character, like, it's just, as a performer, this would have to be an amazing show to be in. But I'm on my complete theater high right now. I'm ready for Act 2 to begin, and we'll just hop back in the theater and take a look at it. Alright, walking into the theater, this is like just, it's one of the coolest things ever. Very few shows have I ever seen have such an ambiance just coming back into the theater. I love this so much. Look at this. Yay! they're doing a talk back after this. It's gonna be fun. Alright, let's see what they have to say.
It's always amazing to open up your program and see this little flyer in it. Gang, they're doing a talk back tonight with members of the company of Beetlejuice. Now, this is not always guaranteed, but let me tell you, it's amazing when it happens.
Hi, my name is Abe GOLDFARB. I played OTHO.
My name's Morgan Harrison, and I'm the swing assistant dance captain.
Hi, my name is Justin Glett, and I play Beetlejuice.
My name is Jim LUTZ, and I play the trombone. I'm Lansing. I'm the head electrician for the show. So
I'm Matthew Michael Janisse, and I'm one of the swings. Before I did this, Broadway or any of those things, I thought doing that 8 times a week would get extremely boring. What it feels like to me is just like playing like a board game or playing golf or playing something like that, where like some days scenes will go exactly like perfect how I want them to, and then other days they for sure. Yeah. But yeah, it's like it's every time you'll hit something like a little better or a little harder, and you'll grow within that. And I think that especially for me doing that, I do so much in the show that I really don't get bored. And the cast and everybody's so fun, and the crowd is so fun. It's pretty hard to be bored of something when it's this fun. But that's a good question.
Favorite place?
I don't know. I went to a doctor and she doesn't know why my voice isn't broken. I try to take care of it, but that's also kind of a lie. Sometimes I hurt it on purpose because it's too pretty. And then I've added about like 12 jokes in the show at this point. Some of them would be, I think there's only like a few I wrote before that I pitched to the writers that we put in. Like I pitched the book burning joke when we were in San Francisco. And then some of them have been just ones that I've improvised, and they've gotten like a good reaction, and then I like keep them in the show and refine them. I guess is like that. Yeah.
I can tell you that originally OTHO Kevin ends up being from Nutley, New Jersey. That was on Broadway, and what we discovered was no one in the entire continental United States knows about or thinks Nutley, New Jersey is funny. So he's Canadian and zero specificity. In my mind, Toronto, but who's to say? There's 9 of us in the pit, and then there's a drummer who's in a separate room. Basically, he's got a huge setup, a huge drum kit, and like a ton of microphones, and it's not practical to have him. So he's always remote. He's like currently in the musician's dressing room, which does double duty as the drum booth and musician's dressing room. Kind of weird, but it works. And then there's 9 of us down here. Which that's all. You can read about us in the program, but yeah, 10 total.
Also follow the Instagram page.
Also follow our band Instagram page. Yes.
Although for me, it's not really the lines. For me, it's the reactions that other people will give that really get me sometimes. I can't think of anything specific. When did we? Okay, something real. I'll tell you something very weird happens. Apparently. Do we have a lot of time left? I don't know. This is a quick story. So, in the last city we were in, apparently, I didn't know this having been in the show for this long. The cue for the choir to leave, when they come out during Fright of Their Lives, is I'm supposed to say, "Oh yeah." And then I did not know this. I did not know that was your cue to leave. So, everyone seems to agree I did not say, "Oh yeah." I for sure said, "Oh yeah." Then I stood up and I turned around and all the choir were frozen in place with huge grins on their faces. How could you not forget this? It was a nightmare. Wait. And so I started walking through the choir like they were a haunted garden. And they thought I was pranking them, and I thought they were pranking me. And then I was like, what's the cue? And I thought for a second the cue was me slapping my leg. So I was like 2 hot seconds away from doing this on stage, which would have done nothing, because that's not even the cue. So I started laughing and I just told them all to leave. Definitely not.
That would be financial suicide. Do you know how rare it is for a show to even come close to breaking even? Do you know the history of sequel shows?
Oh my God.
Honestly, for me, I have a weird obsession with low fog. I've only toured with a couple different times, but it's different in every house. Every air curtain's different, but this house, it seems to be working very nicely, and I love it.
That fog is gorgeous. We have a hate relationship with the low fog on the pitch, because guess where it all goes? Right when we're trying to take a nice big breath to play a little. Yeah, it's great. Yeah, you just put the fog through the horns. And the streamers at the end of the show will oftentimes rain down on us. And you probably wouldn't have noticed this during the show, but like there is zero time for us to do anything from basically bows on. So those streamers fire at the end of bows, and they float down. Usually they miss us, but sometimes someone will just get slimed, like completely slimed. And there is no time to get rid of it or do anything with it for like the next 10 minutes while we're playing exit music and everything. So you'll just see, poor Mihalis on violin or Rob on trumpet will just, it'll be like soldiering on with the streamers and then the bow and the microphone. Yeah, it's great. We hate the streamers.
Actually, there's only 3 12K projectors across the balcony that do an image merge across, and then we have a video wall as well.
How did they have the sight lines to project the checkerboard onto the floor?
Those are all a gobo. So for those of you who don't know, gobo is a template that goes inside the movie light that projects the patterns. So those are all coming from overhead just into regular lighting rig.
That makes sense.
It's just, it takes me about half an hour to line them all up every time we move the show.
Long.
They didn't know when they're opening the show, when the tour was happening. So for me, it took. I think everybody's gonna have a wildly different story for this, but yeah, mine was always between whether or not it was gonna open again on Broadway, whether or not I was gonna go there or here or whatever. It might took like 10 months, like 8 different auditions. Yeah.
I had joined the Broadway company at the Winter Garden in 2020 before the pandemic hit, and then after the pandemic I became a vacation swing at the Marquee. And then honestly the tour wasn't even on my radar, and one day they were like, hey, can you come in and like sing some understudy stuff? And I was like, sure. And like 2 hours after that audition they were like, you got it! And I was like, work, I'm going on tour again! So, yeah, it was a quick but lovely experience.
So April 2018, I auditioned, just like April 2018, I auditioned for the out-of-town tryout in DC. Then I auditioned 3 times between then and May 2018. Then, in December 2018, I re-auditioned for the Broadway opening at the Winter Garden. And then, I auditioned again for the Marquee reopening because my ensemble track didn't exist. Then I didn't get that, but then I was called in June of 2022 to audition for the tour, and I did like 3 or 4 of those.
10 months? 4 years. Jesus.
It was awesome. He's a dedicated man.
Correct.
I like money.
Alrighty, guys. And you want to finish answering that question?
Oh, sure.
Matthew, do you want
Yeah,
to?
go on.
I always want to know
Matthew, what's your deal?
how do instrumentalists get hired? Is it just recommendations? Do you play something?
It was, for me, it was a video audition, but the call for that was from like the contractor for this show, like knew me from other shows I played in New York, so it was like half recommendation, and then it was like video to be like, can you actually play the hard parts of this?
Everyone.
I'm still fairly new to the tour. I actually just finished out the Mean Girls tour about a month ago.
What were your 32 bars when you came into this?
But no, as far as the technical side, we were recruited pretty heavily because once you start getting to certain levels of touring, once they find out you're available, you will get so many phone calls by the time you get home. You're like, no, I want to be home. And they're like, no, can you actually like fly out to Philly like tomorrow?
I left my wife of 2 days to fly to New York to do an audition, and then they were like, hey, could you come back on Friday for callbacks? And I said, I'm going to Europe, so no. So then they had me film every character who spoke, and then that was it. And then while I was in Rome, got the call.
Amazing. Thank you guys. Can we get a big round?
That was the second talkback I've ever been to here at the Dr. Phillips Center. It is not an every night thing. They just so happen to do it, and you never know who's going to show up. And there he is. There was Beetlejuice, literally right there. That was probably the best talkback I have heard, of course, out of the two that I've seen. But gang, oh, it was a good show. It was such a good show. Yeah, also, here is the lineup for next season. Starts off with Annie. Yes, it's going to be a good season. There were two extras. Aladdin was the extra, and so was Les Mis. I did book a ticket to see Aladdin because it's amazing, and of course I live here at Disney. And then Les Mis I have seen many times. I'm okay with Les Mis. Don't need it that much anymore in my life because that was like one of the shows of my childhood right there. So that's why I went with Aladdin, not Les Mis. But this is going to be a good lineup, and out of all these shows, I'm most excited for this one right here. Don't know why. Wish I could have seen it in New York, but I didn't. Really excited for it. So, kind of going back to what the show was like in New York, it's almost exactly the same. And the stuff that they could not do made the show so much better. One of the things I loved about the talkback is they brought back a musician. They had a musician there and one of the electricians. And to get their perspective of things was just something that you don't get to hear that often. Just like beyond happy right now. It was a good evening. When tickets went on sale here in Orlando, I believe the entire run sold out within 5 minutes. So I am very grateful. Number one, I have season tickets. Number two, before they release it to the public, they allow season ticket subscribers to change seat locations, and that worked for me. So yay for that. But gang, it is time for me to go to bed. Oh my, this was quite the night. So thank you so much for watching. The next musical here that I have is not for another like 4 months. But don't worry, because I got tickets to lots of other stuff happening in Orlando and Tampa. So, end of the night, I'm going to make my way up a whole bunch of stairs. And gang, I will see you next time. So, I'm going to leave you with the exit music of Beetlejuice the Musical and enjoy the ambiance. Take care, everyone. Bye.